Well, do you know, it looks like they've finally had enough. Let's begin. Now, you know, of course, I didn't know about you, but it seems for far too long now we've had eco-idiots everywhere getting away with things non-stop, whether it be throwing orange paint over something or blocking traffic, even things like ambulances for ages in order to make their point, expecting us to stop using oil overnight. Well, I'm sorry, but that just is not realistic to happen at all, is it? Especially when some of these eco-idiots, in a lot of cases, have used petrol or diesel-powered vehicles to get to those protests. And for too long now, we've just seen them get a slap on the wrist. Naughty boy, don't do it again. But now it looks like they've finally had enough and gave these people a sentence that they really truly deserve, in my opinion. And I say that because according to this article, it says that Just Stop Oil protesters receive record jail terms for disrupting the M25. And that, from what I remember, did happen a little while ago, and they scaled the gantries and caused nothing but chaos for a couple of hours, if I remember rightly. And these protesters, who no doubt by now will be wondering why they even done it in the first place, and probably having a little cry, are Roger Holman, who's 58, Daniel Shaw, who's 38, Louise Lancaster, who's 58, Lucia Whitaker Diabaru, hope I pronounced that right, she's 35, and Cressida Griffin, who's 22, have been given quite sizable sentences compared to the other eco-idiots out there, although of course they said, "We love you," when they were given their sentences. Well, I bet they won't love them after a couple of days in jail, or prison as otherwise known. So just how long are those sentences? Is it enough to make sure they'll never do it again? Well, Holman, who's one of the co-founders of Just Stop Oil, has been sentenced to 5 years in jail. The other 4 were given 4-year sentences by Judge Christopher Hehere. I hope I pronounced that right. He said, "The plain fact is that each of you some time ago has crossed the line from concerned campaigner to fanatic. You appointed yourselves the sole arbiters of what should be done about climate change," which obviously, whilst everyone is allowed to have an opinion on what should be done, they should still stick to the law, which these guys didn't really, did they? And those sentences are, of course, longer than those given to Just Stop Oil protesters Mark and Troland, who got 3 years, and Marcus Decker, who got 2 years and 7 months for scaling the Dartford crossing. And 45 people ended up climbing onto the gantries, apparently, which cost the Metropolitan Police more than £1.1 million to deal with. Prosecutor Josine Leonard Casey said, "The thing is, though, I think they should actually be made to pay their own equal share of that money, because had they not done those things, then that money would not have to be paid out at all. So if you think about it, and that was put in place, that would be an extra deterrent to make sure other idiots don't do a similar thing, eh?" And the shocking thing is, it says this impacted around 700,000 vehicles and has meant that the M25 grinded to a halt for more than 120 hours, Southwark Crown Court heard. But of course, I'm guessing, unfortunately, these protesters don't really care about things like that, just as long as they're making an impact, or other crap they think of. The judge said, though, about the sophistication in the plan involved was compelling evidence and existence of a conspiracy. And he addressed Hallam directly and said, "You are the theoretician, the ideas man, and in my judgment you sit at the highest level of conspiracy." 11 protesters were apparently also arrested on suspicion of contempt outside the court during the trial, and quite worryingly though, proceedings were discontinued because the judge became concerned about their position. Well, it just makes you wonder what sort of things they were doing outside the court, and unfortunately it doesn't actually say here, although I'm guessing it wasn't exactly good. Especially, of course, if groups like this have no worry or concern about even stopping emergency vehicles from getting through, which is just a shocking thing for protesters to do, especially if it's an ambulance, because they say they're concerned about humans and human life or whatever, but yet they're stopping an emergency vehicle getting to save someone else's life in a lot of cases, I'm guessing. And they should all be very ashamed of themselves, in my opinion. And hopefully now that these sentences have been given out to these eco-idiots, a lot more people will be thinking twice, hopefully, about any violence or vandalism they want to do in their future protests.